It was just past midnight when Michael Harris felt the vibration. Not the sharp buzz of an alarm, not the aggressive ring of a phone call, just a quiet pulse against the wooden nightstand, as if the phone itself was unsure whether it deserved his attention. Michael didn't move at first. He lay flat on his back, staring at a faint crack in the ceiling above his bed, the same crack he had been meaning to fix for 3 years. The house was silent except for the steady hum of the refrigerator down the hall and the distant sound of traffic from the highway miles away. At 43, Michael had learned something simple but painful. Nothing good usually arrived after midnight. Late-night messages were reminders of unfinished deadlines, school emails he had missed, or worse, thoughts that refused to let him sleep. The phone vibrated again. This time, his chest tightened. He turned his head and picked it up. The name on the screen erased the remaining fog of sleep instantly. Claire Whitman. His neighbor. The woman who lived 3 houses down. The woman he passed almost every morning but never lingered with. The woman who had somehow become part of his quiet routine without ever officially entering his life. There was one photo attached, and one line of text beneath it. Does this look honest to you? Michael's thumb hovered over the screen. Then he opened it. The image was not what he expected. It wasn't provocative. It wasn't personal in the obvious sense. It was a drawing. A charcoal sketch of a man sitting alone at a kitchen table late at night. His elbows rested on the wood, his hands clasped together as if holding himself upright. A single lamp cast light across his shoulders, while the rest of the room dissolved into shadow. The man's face wasn't detailed, but the posture told the whole story. Fatigue, resignation, loneliness that had learned how to behave. Michael swallowed hard, because he recognized the scene. It wasn't an exact copy, but it was close enough to feel intimate. Too intimate. And suddenly, he understood what Claire was really asking. She wasn't asking about the drawing. She was asking whether she had crossed a line by seeing him this clearly. Michael Harris had become very good at not being seen. 5 years earlier, his life had split cleanly in half. Before, there had been family dinners, shared plans, the comfortable illusion of permanence. After, there had been quiet mornings, separate bedrooms, and eventually a single sentence spoken without anger or drama. I don't think I belong here anymore. That was how his wife had said it. No shouting, no tears. Just honesty that arrived too late to soften the blow. She left 2 weeks later. Their son, Noah, was 10. Michael never blamed her out loud. But something inside him closed that day. Now Noah was 15, tall, thoughtful, emotionally guarded in a way that worried Michael more than any teenage rebellion ever could. Michael had raised him alone. He learned how to cook meals that didn't come from boxes, how to attend school meetings without feeling invisible among couples, how to answer questions about love without letting his voice crack. He worked as a structural engineer, designing buildings meant to endure pressure, earthquakes, stress. It wasn't lost on him that he had built his own emotional life the same way, rigid, contained, reinforced. Nothing unexpected was allowed inside. He told himself it was stability. He told himself it was enough. Claire Whitman disrupted that carefully balanced quiet the day she moved in. Michael remembered the morning clearly. Boxes stacked on the sidewalk, a moving truck idling. Claire directing movers calmly, confidently. She looked different from anyone else on the street. Not louder, not brighter, just present. Later, Noah had leaned against a window and said, "She looks like someone who's lived." Michael hadn't known how to respond to that. Over time, Claire became part of the background of his days. Morning coffee on her porch, sketchbooks balanced on her knees, a soft smile when they crossed paths. They exchanged polite words. Nothing more. And yet, Michael found himself noticing details he hadn't noticed about anyone in years. The way she tilted her head when she listened, the way she seemed entirely comfortable with silence, which was dangerous. So he kept conversations brief, safe, until the rainstorm. The sky had opened suddenly that afternoon, dumping water so fast it turned driveways into streams. Michael had been unloading groceries when he saw Claire struggling with a large box near her car. He ran over without thinking. "Looks heavier than it should be," he said. She laughed, rain plastering her hair to her face. "Everything in my life usually is." Inside the box were framed drawings, faces filled with emotion. "You made these?" he asked. She nodded. "People say they're too intense. I think they are honest." Claire paused at that, and for a moment, something passed between them. Recognition. That moment grew roots. Coffee turned into conversations. Conversations turned into familiarity. Claire treated Noah with respect, not forced friendliness. He responded to that. Michael watched from a distance, afraid, but drawn in. And then came the night of the message, the night she sent the drawing. Michael stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Finally, he typed, "It looks real." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. "That scares me," she wrote. He didn't overthink this one. It should. Being seen always does. There was a pause, then the message that changed everything. "Can I come over?" Claire sat across from him at the kitchen table, the same table from the drawing. "I didn't mean to invade your privacy," she said softly. Something about you felt familiar." Michael leaned back in his chair. "I think loneliness recognizes itself," he said. She nodded. They talked, slowly at first, about how she had chosen a life full of freedom and creativity, only to realize later that freedom without connection could still feel empty. About how Michael had chosen responsibility and routine, only to realize safety could feel just as lonely. Neither of them touched. Neither rushed. When Claire finally stood to leave, she hesitated at the door. "Thank you for not pretending you're fine," she said. Michael watched her walk home, and for the first time in years, sleep didn't come easily. 2 weeks later, the pass knocked. Michael's ex-wife called. She sounded different, softer, uncertain. She wanted to talk, to see if something could be rebuilt. Michael said he needed time. What he didn't say was that his chest felt hollow at the idea. And what he didn't tell Claire was that the core had happened at all. Claire felt the change immediately. She didn't confront him. She simply stepped back. Michael noticed, but fear made him silent, until the envelope appeared on his door one evening. Inside was a letter, handwritten, honest. Claire wrote about loneliness, about seeing him clearly, about not wanting to interfere, but not wanting to disappear either. Michael sat on the couch long after finishing it. Then he stood and walked across the street. Claire opened the door with red eyes. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she whispered. "I wasn't sure I deserved to," he said. They talked until sunrise, about fear, about timing, about choosing honesty even when it terrified them. When Michael finally said, "I choose you," it felt like a truth he had been holding back his entire life. Love didn't fix everything overnight. There were difficult conversations, with the past, with Noah, with themselves. But love changed the way those conversations felt. It made effort feel worth it. Years later, Michael would think back to that night, that quiet vibration, that question, "Does this look honest to you?" And he would know the answer, yes, because the most beautiful things always are.